Okay, so today I will be talking about the fair fanatism, which mean to say that the fair skin fanatism, a fanatic attitude in India, and it's not just in India; it's in other cultures as well. For example, South Korea is one of the dominant culture where you have an the conception of beauty and being beautiful is equivalent to being fair. Now, where I mean, if we go deep into it, see, it has lot many problems. We could sometimes just think that it's something which is wrong, but it's not a big issue. Well, it actually seems to be a big issue because if you look at the concept of dowry in general and the concept of rejection and other if the conception of beauty becomes being fair, then those who are not fair, uh, you know they would basically be thinking about themselves as less beautiful as than others. And they wouldn't be preferred in marriages, especially in India where you have arranged marriages. And it's not just about arranged marriages, even love marriages, for example, when people go out for dating, etc. Men or women, and it's actually for both the sexes, but of course a woman would be differently treated, no doubt about it. But it's the that racism, it's not exactly racism because the race is same, but the color, the attitude that we have in India is basically on both the sexes. And there are the girls who are fair and think that boys who are fair are beautiful. The boys who are, sorry, handsome. And there are boys who are fair think that girls who are fair are only beautiful or handsome or whatever. So that is a thing. Because of this, we have a attitude of separation and separate treatment and preferential treatment, etc. With regard to marriages. Many times we have cases of a dowry, for example. So a woman who is not good looking, and by good looking I mean woman who is not fair, would have to give more dowry, and would have to be better in education and all other stream to compete with a woman who is not so good in education and who doesn't have good what to say personality, or let's say she couldn't afford to give more dowry. So that's the thing. The fact that you are born with a dark color is something is tantamount to being cursed in Indian society, with a fact that you are not, you yourself think. And this is something many people in their heart do accept, that they are not actually beautiful. And this I am saying because I have always seen in my life in general, and I've seen personally. So where does the attitude of this comes from? First of all, it comes from the general tendency of black being associated with, and it's kind of psychology, I could say, of black being associated with dirt and with dirty. For example, if you go to if you the sewage water, the color that it's black. So if you fall into sewage water, your skin perhaps would fill, it would be filled with black color. It's like it would be painted black. Then if you and similarly, all other things which we associated with dirt, insects, and so on and so forth, it's usually black in color. So that's the reason why people think that black is dirty, right? On the other hand, so that's the reason. Then one could also attribute a religious reason to it, but I don't think so that that's gets a chance. I guess religion is influenced by this psychology of being fair or being beautiful, etc. Because in Manusmriti you find a verse that being of fair skin is a blessing. Now one could also argue that it just says being fair skinned is blessing. That doesn't mean that let's say being a dark skinned is a curse. I mean that's an argument, but otherwise, but still, I guess it's not that the religion is propagating this fair treatment or something like that, because we also know, and more often that not, we see that religion is actually being influenced by this fair skin treatment, because as far as I know, the Krishna is basically means black in Sanskrit, right? And the most of the I haven't come across even one single statue in which Krishna is, or a painting of Krishna in which he is black. He is either white or he is blue, right? And that's because our conception, and that's because when people would like to see, and similarly in Christianity for that matter, for Catholic saints, many of the Catholic saints, we are not, I mean, most of the Catholic saints are from Europe, and therefore they might be white, but they are usually black. Then, for example, the figure of Jesus in the I mean, that again, we could say that he might be from Middle East, so we exactly don't know whether he was a white skinned guy or a black skinned guy. Most probably people are saying that he might be a fair skinned guy only. But then there are the African cultures who portray Jesus with black skin, etc. So religion is also influenced by this color perspective and color potentiality. If we look at and this is one interesting story which so I guess that's the psychology which goes into it, that and this the preferential treatment of blacks is usually there because of preferential treatment of white skinned people. It's usually in the cultures where both there are both white skinned guys and black skinned guys as well, or dark skinned guys as well. Because if we look at there is an interesting thing about the Maasai culture. Maasais are a nomadic tribe in Africa, and I just know about them. I don't know about others, but I know about them that the conception of beauty there is that when you smile, how white are your teeth and how red is your gum. That's basically what determines how beautiful you are, which actually doesn't make that much sense, but still in terms of medical hygiene, you could say that yeah, it makes to a certain extent it does make sense. So that's basically, so because all of them are dark skinned, and so if a girl is said to be beautiful, then she should smile, and if she smiles, how red her gums are and how white her teeth are, that basically determines how fair she is. So this conception of and that's because there is no white person or non dark skinned person as such. But in cultures where we see both of them, if not racism, then definitely preferential treatment of dark skinned people is there. Preferential treatment of white skinned people are there, and black skinned people are made to make sure. For example, Fair and Lovely is one thing. One other thing which we don't see about is that not only this fairness creams, but even the entire Bollywood industry as well as other film industries in general, in India especially. And one other thing is that even when in the states where proportion of dark skinned people are way more than white skinned people, or let's say states where there is a considerable amount of dark skinned people, still in those states the actresses, they are all white, they are all fair skinned. I'm not stereotyping states here, definitely not, but the fact is that the southern states, and like there are definitely dark skinned people in all the states, but the southern states have a considerable amount of them who are because it's because maybe of the Dravidian migration or something like that, or it may be because of the fact that it's near to the equator. There may be many cases, but the fact is they are dark skinned, and there are lot many women who are dark skinned. Still, in none of these industries, whether Bollywood or South Indian film industries or any film industry for that matter, you don't even see a single actress who is dark skinned. You might have some not so fair skinned guys. You couldn't call them dark skinned guys, but you could call them fair skinned guys, but definitely not you couldn't call them fair skinned guys, and like it's they are in somewhere in between, but yeah, brown skinned or something like that. But usually, but you otherwise you don't have dark skinned guys as playing the lead role in there as well. So you see, this is the reason why all the this is the reason why we see there is the fanaticism, or what to say, a very very cruel treatment for those people who are dark skinned. And this is something which many people face, especially in their childhood, that they are called, but dark or kala or something like that in Hindi, especially when they are in childhood. I was called that, I acknowledge, I was called that, and that was one of the negative traits that people in the childhood had. So basically, in our school, how it was, being a fat guy was bad. So you could get one negative point for that, and being a dark guy is bad as well. So don't think about a person who is dark as well, who is dark skinned as well as fat. So I was not fat then, so I didn't score -2. But this was what was going in our school, right? And similarly the case for girls as well. So that's how we kids used to give marks for our appearances and beauty, etc. So I mean, I sometimes I used to laugh at that point of history, but then uh, that's exactly now I see that there is a clear cut fanatic thought of being dark here. um, and this should end, and this should first of all be end by those advertisements which are freely there for giving fairness, etc. But more importantly, I guess it's something which is ingrained in our culture. It's ingrained not just in our culture, basically it's ingrained in our psychology, to be specific. And the attack towards this psychology could only be through morality. So it's like this: giving of dowry seems to be practical, right? Giving of dowry seems to be practical because the woman is going to the other household, and you need to give something to her or something like that. That's how people assume it. But then we, as Indians, need to, because dowry became such a huge issue, that and with the growth of feminism as well, we gave a moral counter to it, right? um, uh, Still we don't have a practical counter to the fact that women's property is not divided. It's like, if woman is there, we are going them, and it's our choice to give as much as we want or something like that. That's something which you cannot defend. So dowry is usually in North India, at least dowry is given as gift. You don't say dowry, but you say gift. But the thing continues, right? It's dowry at the end of the day. So the argument that usually comes for this ingrained psychological different discrimination towards dark skinned people is countered by morality. uh, Many times morality does win, and so we hope that morality also wins here as well.